Relax. Yes, right now, in this very moment. Let your shoulders sink just a little deeper. Allow your jaw to soften and your breath to lengthen. Feel how the ground beneath you, or the bed that holds you, supports every part of you without asking for anything in return. There is no need to hold yourself up. No need to do anything at all. You are safe here. You are welcome here. And you are free to rest. Imagine, if you will, a soft golden glow, a candle's flame. Steady, unhurried, flickering with a warmth that gently illuminates an old stone room. The air is cool, but not cold. And you can hear the faint hush of night winds outside, brushing through ivy that climbs the monastery walls. There is a hearth somewhere nearby, not roaring, but whispering with a soft crackle, like a lullaby of embers. Take a slow breath in, and as you breathe out, notice the way your body seems to sink a little deeper into stillness. Each breath is slower than the last, and with every exhale, the world outside this story grows quieter. And now, as you rest in this quiet space, our story today begins. It begins in a monastery hidden deep in the folds of rolling green hills. Stone walls rise up, weathered by centuries, their faces carved by wind and softened by moss. The world here moves differently. Time is not hurried. It does not press forward with urgency. Instead, it flows like a slow river, circling back, folding over itself, patient and unending. Inside, at a long oak desk polished by the hands of countless scribes before him, sits a man cloaked in simple robes. His name has been forgotten to time, but his work is a quiet echo that lingers even now. By the glow of a single beeswax candle, he prepares his tools. A small knife for trimming the quill, a round stone mortar for grinding oak galls, a wooden bowl of water from the well outside, cool and still. And beside him, scraps of parchment, ready to hold the thoughts that will flow through him tonight. Listen, do you hear it? The faint scrape of pestle against mortar. The soft crunch of dried oak galls, breaking down into powder. He sprinkles a few grains of iron salt, pours in the water, and slowly stirs. The ink swirls dark at first, then lightens, then deepens again, as though alive. As though it holds secrets it is not yet ready to give away. The candlelight catches the liquid, casting shadows that dance across the walls. The scribe watches, patient, breathing slowly, in and out, like the rhythm of a tide. And in this stillness, you, too, may begin to feel that rhythm. Each stroke of his work matches your own breath, slow, steady, gentle. The quill is trimmed now. The ink is ready. The parchment waits. The scribe dips his pen, holds it aloft for a moment, and begins to write. The sound is delicate. Scratch, pause, scratch, scratch, pause. The nib of the quill meets the parchment in tiny strokes, each one a thread woven into a tapestry of thought. If you listen closely, you might even hear the faint hush of fibers drinking in the ink, as if parchment itself longs to hold the words. Outside the monastery, leaves rustle in the night breeze. A lone owl hoots in the distance, its voice low and haunting, echoing across the valley. Somewhere, water trickles from a hidden spring, each drop a silver bead in the quiet symphony of night. And you, here in this story, drift with each sound. The quill scratches and your eyelids grow heavier. The fire crackles and your body relaxes deeper. The wind sighs against the stones, and you find yourself breathing with it, slow and easy. The scribe writes, not only for his time, but for times yet to come. He believes that ink is not only ink, that when oak, gall, and iron meet, and words are traced with care, something more is born, something living, something that changes as the years drift past. For some inks darken with age. They reveal themselves slowly, like truths not ready to be spoken all at once. A letter written today may speak louder a century from now. A hidden word, invisible in the beginning, might surface only when it is most needed. The scribe knows this. He has seen the parchment of elders, where faint shadows of text grew bolder over the decades, like voices rising from silence. And so he writes, gently, carefully, as though each stroke may carry secrets meant for a soul who has not yet been born. Perhaps you can imagine yourself beside him now, sitting in a quiet stone chamber, the candlelight flickering against your skin, the smell of oak and ink mingling with wax and parchment. You are not hurried. You are simply here, watching, listening. Scratch, pause, scratch. The quill moves again. Your breath falls into rhythm with it, as though the sound itself teaches your body how to rest. Scratch, pause. Your mind grows quieter, thoughts settling like leaves falling onto still water. The scribe hums softly under his breath. Not a song, not quite. More like the whisper of someone lost in prayer. The melody is simple, steady, and soothing. And as he hums, you feel a warmth spreading through your chest, like the hearth fire reaching you from across the room. Perhaps you notice how time seems to bend here. The night stretches long and slow, like a gentle hand unfolding. Minutes feel like hours, and yet those hours feel like moments. There is no need to measure them. The candle burns steadily, the ink glistens in the dim light, and the quill keeps moving. Scratch, scratch, pause. He dips the quill again. The ink clings like shadow to its tip, ready to spill another thought. And with every word he writes, a sense of calm deepens in the room. The scribe pauses now. He lifts his head, stretches his fingers, and gazes toward the narrow window. Through it, the moon peers down, silver and calm, surrounded by stars that seem to whisper their own hidden scriptures. The night is wide, and still, and endless. He smiles softly. Then, with another breath, he returns to his work. And as he does, you notice your own breath again, deep, easy, unrushed. Perhaps you feel your body heavier now, your thoughts softer. Perhaps your eyes wish to close. And that is good. That is welcome. For this is only the beginning. The scribe leans close to the parchment again. The candle's flame bends as though listening, swaying gently in the night air that seeps through the window cracks. The ink, still fresh, glistens faintly, and as the quill touches down, it releases its voice once more. Scratch, scratch, pause, scratch. Every mark feels purposeful. Every sound carries weight, though it arrives as softly as a feather falling. And as you listen, you realize that each mark is not only a letter. It is a rhythm, a calming cadence, a lullaby for the quiet heart. The scribe writes words of prayers, yes, but also of dreams. Some he has dreamed himself, in the hushed hours before dawn. Others he has heard whispered by travelers who sought refuge in the monastery. And some words he writes are not his own at all. They arrive unbidden, as though the ink itself wishes to speak through him. He pauses, dipping the quill again, and you notice the way the ink clings, stubbornly, thick and dark. He stirs it with the tip, watching tiny ripples spread like circles across a still pond. Ah, he whispers softly, though no one is there to hear him. This ink carries secrets yet unseen. The words drift into the air, and though faint, you feel them echo in your chest, as though the ink he speaks of is not only his, but yours as well. Imagine now that you lean forward slightly. The parchment is wide, its surface creamy and smooth. The letters curl across it in delicate strokes, like vines winding gently through a garden. And as you look closer, you notice something strange. The letters shimmer faintly in the candlelight. Not all of them, just a few. Here and there, a word seems darker, almost alive. And if you blink, you could swear that it shifts, as though rearranging itself before your eyes. But the scribe does not seem surprised. He simply writes on, steady and calm, as though he knows that ink always moves at its own pace. You hear the hearth again, a soft crackle, sparks whispering upward as logs settle into embers. You hear the night breeze brush through ivy, the leaves rustling like pages of an unseen book. You hear your own breath, quiet and deep, settling into the hush of this monastery chamber. And with each sound, you feel yourself sinking deeper. Your limbs heavy, your mind light, your body resting here, while your imagination drifts further into the scribe's world. The scribe begins to hum again, a melody so simple you almost don't notice at first. It is like the low murmur of a stream, winding gently over stones. No words, only sound, rising and falling, rising and falling, like your breath. With every note, the room grows warmer. With every rise and fall, you feel yourself loosening, as though invisible threads are being untied, one by one, letting you slip into stillness. He pauses once more, sets down his quill, reaches for the mortar, where he ground the oak galls earlier. Inside, a faint residue of powder remains, clinging to the stone. He brushes it with his finger, then lifts it to his nose. The scent is sharp, woody, earthy, a reminder of forests and fallen acorns, of roots twisting deep into the soil. He smiles again, quietly, as though the memory of the forest is a secret companion in this stone chamber. And perhaps, in this moment, you, too, can smell the faint trace of oak and earth. Perhaps you can even imagine the woods themselves, tall trees standing in moonlight, their branches swaying, their leaves whispering in the night breeze. The forest outside holds its own secrets, just as the ink does, and somehow, in this monastery, the two are joined. The scribe returns to his parchment. He lifts the quill once more. Scratch, scratch, pause, scratch, scratch, scratch. His hand moves steadily, but you notice the way his eyelids lower slightly, the way his breath deepens. He is writing himself into a trance. The rhythm of his hand carries him inward, to a place where words are not only written, but felt. And you, listening here, are carried with him, deeper into stillness, deeper into quiet, like a feather drifting downward through the night air. He leans back in his chair at last, stretching his arms, the joints cracking softly. He gazes at the words on the parchment, nodding with quiet satisfaction. Some letters gleam darker than others. Some lines seem almost invisible. But he does not correct them. He does not fret. He knows that ink is alive, that some words will wait years to reveal themselves, that some truths arrive only when the world is ready to hear them. He blows gently across the parchment, drying the ink. The letters shimmer, then settle into stillness. And in this moment, you feel yourself settling too, your thoughts no longer racing, your breath unhurried, your body heavier, softer, quieter. The scribe folds his hands, closes his eyes, and begins to murmur a prayer. But it is not a prayer in words, you understand. It is softer, deeper, a prayer not to be read, but to be felt. His voice is low, almost like a vibration, humming through the air. You feel it in your chest, resonating gently, like the warmth of the hearth. And as he continues, you realize the prayer is not only his, it has become yours as well. Each syllable is like a wave brushing the shore of your mind, pulling away tension, drawing in stillness, leaving only calm behind. When he finishes, the room falls silent again. The only sounds now are the faint whisper of the candle flame, the hushed breath of the wind outside, and your own steady breathing, soft and easy. The scribe opens his eyes slowly, as though waking from a dream. He picks up the quill once more, dips it into the ink, and writes a single word at the top of the parchment. A word so dark, so heavy with presence, that it seems to echo even without a voice. He gazes at it for a long time, and then, gently, he smiles again. You do not see the word clearly. It is not ready to be seen, but you feel it, deep inside, a word meant for you, waiting in the shadows of ink until the time is right. And in that knowing, you rest even deeper, your eyes heavy, your body still, your heart at peace. The night outside deepens, the moon climbs higher, silver light spilling across the stone walls. The scribe continues to write, page after page, his quill moving like a tide that never stops. And with every stroke, you are carried further into calm, further into quiet, further into sleep. The night grows older. The silence thickens, wrapping itself around the monastery like a soft woolen cloak. The scribe sits in his chair, candlelight gilding the edges of his face, his hands steady as they guide the quill once more. Scratch, scratch, pause. The sound repeats, gentle and unhurried, like the heartbeat of the room itself. And as you listen, you may feel your own heartbeat syncing with it, not rushing, not straining, but calm, steady, peaceful. The parchment before him is no longer blank. Lines curl and unfurl like vines across a garden wall. Some words flow smoothly, dark and bold. Others fade, as if written in smoke. The page feels alive, as though it is breathing in the same rhythm as the scribe. He leans back, stretches his fingers once again, and gazes at the candle's flame. The wick glows, trembling with light, and he whispers softly, "Even fire is a scribe, writing its story in smoke." The thought lingers in the air, and you notice the curl of smoke rising gently above the candle. It sways and drifts, folding in on itself, making shapes that appear for a heartbeat and then vanish. Perhaps you see a bird, perhaps a tree, perhaps a word that almost forms, and then disappears again. The scribe watches with you, smiling faintly, as though he knows the smoke is its own kind of ink. Not on parchment, but on air. Not for the eyes, but for the soul. The room is quiet, but not empty. Every sound becomes part of the silence. The faint creak of wood as the chair shifts beneath him. The sigh of the night breeze slipping through the window. The distant call of that same owl, echoing across the valley once more. Each sound comes, and then fades. Just as thoughts come, and then fade. Until all that remains is stillness. And in that stillness, you feel yourself resting more deeply. Breath by breath, word by word, moment by moment. The scribe dips his quill again. But this time, he does not write on parchment. He raises it into the air, the ink dripping faintly, and begins to draw invisible letters into the space around him. His hand moves slowly, as though tracing constellations only he can see. And yet, if you let your imagination soften, you may see them too. Lines of ink in the air, glowing faintly, fading as soon as they appear. Letters forming, dissolving, reforming again. It is as though he writes directly into the night itself. He whispers now, low and melodic, words that weave with the shapes he draws. You do not need to understand the language. It is not one of logic, but of rhythm. A lullaby of ink and breath. A story without words, carried only in tone. And as you listen, you feel the sounds curling around you, like smoke, like ink, like night, each one soothing you further, loosening tension, carrying you toward rest. The scribe lowers the quill at last, and the air around him grows still again. He sets the feather aside and closes his eyes, his hands folded loosely in his lap. His breathing deepens, slow and even, and you find your own following. Inhale, long, gentle, calm. Exhale, slow, quiet, releasing. With each breath, it feels as though you are drawing in candlelight and breathing out shadows, drawing in warmth, breathing out weight, drawing in stillness, breathing out thought. The fire in the hearth crackles again, not loudly, but softly, like a whisper of comfort. The embers glow, tiny points of red and orange, like hidden jewels. The warmth spreads through the stone chamber, and through you as well. It feels as though the fire itself is humming, a steady vibration that lulls every muscle into rest. Shoulders soft, arms heavy, legs still. Even the tiniest muscles in your face begin to loosen, as though the fire has reached into your very being and soothed you from within. The scribe opens his eyes slowly, as though waking from a gentle dream. He lifts his gaze toward the parchment and studies what he has written. The letters gleam faintly in the light, some darker than others, some nearly hidden, and then he leans closer, as though listening. Yes, listening, not to sound, but to the ink itself. For he knows that every word carries a voice, if only one learns to hear it. The room grows quieter still. The candle flickers, then steadies, and in the silence, you almost think you can hear it too. The faintest hum, like a chorus of whispers rising from the page. Not frightening, not strange, but soothing. A harmony that wraps itself around you like a blanket, calming and protective. The scribe nods once more, satisfied. He places the quill beside the inkwell, folds the parchment gently, and sets it aside. He exhales a long breath, and in that moment, you feel yourself exhale with him. A shared release, as though the work of the night has been lifted, leaving only peace behind. He stands now, stretching slowly, his robes shifting softly against the stone floor. He walks to the narrow window and places a hand against the cold stone sill. The moonlight spills across his fingers, pale and silver. Outside, the hills roll endlessly beneath the stars, their slopes soft and dark in the night. He closes his eyes and breathes the air drifting in, cool, fresh, carrying the faint scent of dew beginning to form on the grass. The scent of earth, of life, of cycles that continue no matter how many centuries pass. He smiles again, softly, and whispers. Even the night writes its own story, and you feel as though you were part of that story too. A character written in ink and shadow, parchment and breath. Not hurried, not pressured. Simply resting here, within the quiet rhythm of the night. You drift further now, as the scribe turns from the window. His movements are slower, softer, as though he, too, is being pulled toward sleep. The candle burns lower. The fire settles into glowing embers. The room grows heavier with stillness, and your body grows heavier too, sinking deeper, deeper into calm. The scribe takes one final look at the parchment he has written. He touches it gently with the tip of his finger, as though blessing it. Then he lowers his head in quiet reverence. The ink will live on. The words will darken with time. The truths will wait, patient and hidden, until the moment they are ready to be seen. And until then, there is only rest. The chamber is quiet now, almost sacred in its stillness. The scribe has written for hours, yet time feels unmeasured here, neither rushing nor dragging, but flowing like a stream hidden beneath the monastery floor. You, too, have traveled this stream. You followed the ink, the candlelight, the rhythm of quill on parchment. And now, as the night deepens, you feel yourself approaching a place beyond even story. A place of surrender, of soft and effortless rest. The scribe lowers himself back into his chair. He does not reach for the quill again. Instead, he closes his eyes, his head bowed, as though the words he has written now continue themselves within his heart. The candle burns lower, the flame smaller, steadier, glowing like a watchful star in the silence. Shadows lengthen along the walls, yet they feel gentle, protective, not darkness that hides, but darkness that cradles, darkness that allows the mind to close its eyes. The fire in the hearth is no longer bright. It is a soft bed of embers, glowing red and orange, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. Their warmth is steady, humming low, a lullaby made of heat and light. And all around, the monastery breathes. Stone, wood, parchment, ink, everything holds a quiet rhythm, like the slow tide of sleep. Imagine now that you are the one holding the quill. It rests lightly in your fingers, feather soft, as though weightless. You dip it into the ink, and watch as the dark liquid gathers at the tip, ready to become more than ink, ready to become thought. But instead of parchment, you raise it into the air, and with the gentlest motion, you draw a single line before you, a line that glimmers faintly, as though alive, then another, and another. Soon the lines connect, forming shapes that hover in the air, words not meant for paper, but for your soul. And as you draw them, you feel something loosening within you, like knots untying, like doors opening, like the weight of the day slipping softly into night. The scribe watches you with kind eyes. He does not speak, but his silence encourages you, as if he knows you, to carry words unspoken, and that here, in this quiet, you are free to let them drift away into the ink of the air. You realize, perhaps, that these shapes are not for memory. They are for release. You do not need to hold them. You do not need to keep them. They dissolve as you write them, fading gently into nothingness. And with them, your thoughts dissolve too. Each word you trace releases a piece of the day. Each curve you form lets go of something you no longer need. Until at last, there is nothing left to write, only stillness. The scribe nods softly, as though to say, yes, this is enough. He folds his hands again and leans back, closing his eyes. The candle flickers once, then steadies. The embers glow faintly, then rest, and you feel your body mirroring them, settling into a deep, unmoving calm. Outside, the monastery walls breathe with the night. The owl has gone silent now, perhaps drifting to its own sleep. The wind has softened, only a hush against the ivy leaves. The stars glimmer in their vast silence, each one a tiny spark of ink across the dark sky. And above them, the moon still keeps its watch, full, bright, and serene, casting its silver light across the hills, across the stone, across the chamber, and across you. That moonlight feels cool, cleansing. It washes over you like water. It smooths every edge of thought, leaving only peace. It gathers the last of your wakefulness and carries it away, out the window, into the sky. The scribe rises one last time. He takes the parchment he has written tonight, folds it with reverence, and places it into a wooden chest at his side. The chest is filled with countless other pages, each one holding words that will outlive him. He closes the lid softly, as though tucking them into bed. Then he extinguishes the candle. The flame sighs into smoke, and the room is bathed in the glow of the embers and the moonlight alone. The smoke curls upward, thin and slow, like the last note of a lullaby. It drifts, dissolves, disappears, just as your thoughts dissolve, disappear, until only quiet remains. The scribe returns to his chair, but this time he does not write. He folds his arms upon the desk, rests his head upon them, and closes his eyes. His breath is slow, deep, steady. He is no longer the scribe at work. He is the scribe at rest. And you, too, are at rest. The rhythm of his breathing becomes yours. The silence of the chamber becomes yours. The peace of this night becomes yours. You do not need to think. You do not need to do. You only need to drift. Drift into warmth. Drift into stillness. Drift into the gentle ink of sleep. And as you sink further, perhaps you realize something. That the scribe's ink was never only for parchment. It was for you, for this very moment, to write calm into your heart, to write rest into your body, to write dreams into your night. The ink will continue to darken with time. The truths will reveal themselves slowly, gently, across the years. But for now, you do not need to search for them. You do not need to see them. You need only rest, and let them arrive when the time is right. The embers hum softly. The moonlight spills gently. The monastery breathes, and you sleep. Your breath deep, your body still, your mind at peace. And as you drift further, deeper, softer into sleep, the story folds itself closed, not as an ending, but as a beginning that will wait for you. The ink has been written, the words will remain, and you will rest.